Perfect parry, it's become a hot topic with a lot of people. You know, a lot of players are complaining about perfect parry, and rightfully so. I think perfect parry is a mechanic the devs had in mind when creating the game. That's why they made some absurd moves. You know, that's why they made Honda Headbutt remove an entire drive gauge on block. Same with Blanca Ball. That's why they created Dragon Lash and they made it +1 on block. You know, that's why they made a lot of these absurd moves, is because perfect parry's in the game. And it's a mechanic they threw in there so that, you know, you just have to get good, and top players will do it and they'll look hype on stage, and it's all crazy. Which I agree with. I mean, I don't like that design philosophy, but sure, whatever. Okay, let's add some spice to it. I don't agree with it. I don't think, you know, you should have a mechanic and moves that are like extremely powerful and obnoxious just because you have this mechanic where you can parry within 2 frames. I don't think that's great game design, but sure, whatever. That's what they had in mind. But now perfect parry is evolving to something completely different. Now, going for, you know, your regular block strings is a risk. Going for jab strings is always a risk. Now you're creating kind of a little pseudo mind game where if they're perfect parrying you, you have to interrupt jabs. Go for, you know, you can walk up, throw it, but then you'll lose to them mashing jabs. You know, it creates kind of like this weird wheel of options, this weird guessing game, which is fine, honestly. The problem is being able to get full combo from a perfect parry. Like if you perfect parry a jab, you're +8 most of the time, and there's some crazy 8-frame buttons. Like if Marissa perfect parries you, I get this. You're in the corner. If Ken perfect parries you, he does the same thing, but without needing to spend a bar, because that's Ken. You know, there's characters that just get some insane reward from perfect parry. And there's others that get meh reward. Like Aki's reward isn't that good. From 8 frames, he gets a medium into poison. Manon gets a medal at least. That's something, I guess. You know, Phoenix U with the raid, I appreciate you, man. Hope you had a good stream. But like it's a mechanic that does give weaker characters better options, like more defensive options at least. You know, they don't just get mauled for free. But it makes the strongest characters stronger. The rich get richer. You know, these characters abuse perfect parry way better than the lower tier characters because their reward is much better from getting a perfect parry. Like, how many times has it happened to you? Like, Ken just gets a perfect parry on your string, and you're in the corner because you dared to do jab jab. How fucking dare you go for jab jab against Ken? You're in the corner. Now you're guessing for your life. Luke can do the same thing. Like, you know, the strong characters, they get stronger with this mechanic. They abuse it way more. So that's definitely an issue. But I think the biggest problem right now with perfect parry is players being able to do it in neutral, just randomly. Just throwing it out. You do something negative and you just throw it out. Or just, fuck it, we're doing this, and I'll just throw it out. Randomly. This is becoming very powerful, and it's becoming an issue, because top players are getting better at doing it, and it's just turning neutral into, like, roulette, you know? It's adding a lot more randomness to neutral. And neutral in this game is already very explosive, it's very chaotic because we have this. And we have powerful neutral skip moves. So now we're adding another factor into the mix. So the problem with like randomly parrying in neutral is that it's safe. It's an option that really has no counterplay. You know, if you parry and you're holding down back, what can you do at this range? You can't walk up and throw me. There's no, you know, there's no time for that. At least if you're trying to parry strings, and like I stop my string and I see you parry, I can walk up, throw, I got a punish counter. There's a risk in trying to parry strings or parry on wake up. But parrying in neutral, there is no risk. If you hit me while I'm doing this, boom, I gain my drive gauge back. Perfect. You know, if you think about it, at this range, if you block anything, your drive gauge is gonna go down. So might as well, you know, bet half of it at a weird timing and maybe nothing happens and you just lose half a bar, or maybe you get hit and you get it back, or maybe you get a perfect parry. Christ, getting a perfect parry for absolutely no damn reason. You just literally got lucky. Unless you're a savant or your opponent is extremely predictable and you can predict even when the timing of when they press their buttons. Most of the time it's going to be pure luck. Just because you got super lucky in neutral, now you put yourself in a winning position. You could potentially win the round from that. Remember, this game is very snowbally. One of those interactions could lead to winning the entire round. Because, you know, especially with the right character, perfect parry, boom, you know, Ken puts you in the corner, now it's guess the entire time. Now that's guess for essentially game, right? I think that's the biggest issue, is parries in neutral. They're becoming way more prevalent, way more obnoxious, and there's little to no counterplay to them. And if you parry a button at this range, it's not going to be a jab, it's going to be a medium or a heavy. And you're not just +8, you're plus double digits. And from there, you know, characters can just cash out. They can cash out and put you in the corner. Capcom's how they design perfect parry to like not be super OP is by adding a heavy damage penalty to them. Everything is extremely scaled when you get a perfect parry. But when you get a perfect parry, you're not going after damage. You just want positioning. You want corner. You want to put him here. And getting it just randomly because of pure luck just feels bad. I think it's bad design. There should be something to avoid it. I don't know what Capcom can do to make this a bit better, a bit less random. Maybe more recovery on a whiff parry. That would be fine, honestly. If there was more recovery on a whiff parry so that you stay like this for a minute, you know, for a bit, where somebody, if you actually want to commit to that, somebody can just walk up and throw you. I think that's fine. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Maybe less frame advantage on perfect parry, but then they'd have to really redesign a lot of their moves that they made with perfect parry in mind. I think maybe if they had a longer recovery, where if you actually go for a parry, you're committing to a parry. You know, you don't just boom tap and get out for free. It should be more risky, like Thirst Strike, bro. Parry was not risky in Thirst Strike. Most of the time you were just OSing parry. Parry was obnoxious in Thirst Strike. Thirst Strike was all about OS parries. And this game, it's not turning into OS parry, it's just turning into random parry tap in neutral. And just try to get lucky. If you win that interaction, good for you. I think if they increase costs, it will weaken it as a defensive option too, which would be better. If they increase costs, should it cost 1 bar to go for it? But then drivers would be more expensive, which is fine, right? What if it costs half a bar more? Maybe that's not a bad way to deal with it, honestly. That is not a bad way to balance it. What if they made it execute a certain move instead of allowing a combo? Like if you perfect parry, get something. But then we run into the same issue where some characters, you know, the move they get is just stronger. Unless it's just like a specific, you know, maybe like the V reversal or something. Maybe you get that from a parry, like that move or that animation instead of a full combo. That wouldn't be bad. Honestly, that wouldn't be bad. That'd be better than full combo for sure. Because it still serves its purpose. You know, defensively you still have an option. If you get the perfect parry, boom, you blow them away, you're out. Instead of getting full combo into side switch. That's not a bad idea.